Welcome to my channel to listen to sinister stories. It was a chilling, moonlit night when the dreadful events began to unfold. My two young twins, Sam and Robbie, both 6 years old, used to fill our lives with joy and laughter. However, a year ago, a series of sinister events forced us to flee our old house, bringing us to a new level of terror that still haunts us to this day. Our previous house, where my wife Carol and I had lived for 4 years, became a breeding ground for malevolence. The once peaceful neighborhood began to decay, taking a sinister turn. Everything changed, and what was once a promising future became a hellish nightmare. In our previous abode, we were surrounded by peculiar neighbors. The house behind ours, concealed by a dense thicket of menacing trees and overgrown bushes, remained an enigma, rarely revealing the faces of its inhabitants. On the right side, our neighbor Steve had moved in less than a year prior. His unfriendly demeanor and indecipherable words due to his heavy accent left a chilling impression. Unbeknownst to us, his unsettling gaze peered down upon our lives through 2 windows that overlooked our backyard. One sweltering summer day, as Sam and Robbie frolicked in their inflatable pool while I tended to the yard work, a sudden disquiet fell upon me. As I approached the detached garage, I caught a fleeting glimpse of Steve standing at his window. His presence startled me, but before I could process the eerie encounter, he swiftly withdrew, leaving behind an unsettling sensation. That evening, as the sun sank below the horizon, the kids ventured back outside to relish the remnants of the day's heat. Engrossed in their playful laughter, the sound suddenly dissipated, sending ripples of apprehension through my core. Robbie soon burst through the back door, his eyes wide with fear, uttering words that shook me to my very essence. A flashing light emanated from the neighbor's window, he proclaimed. Intrigued and alarmed, I followed Robbie's trembling finger and witnessed the glow from one of Steve's upstairs windows. The room in question had always remained shrouded in darkness, rendering it seemingly uninhabited. Robbie's words echoed in my mind as I entertained the harrowing thought of a hidden camera capturing the innocence of my children's play. A sense of urgency overcame me, compelling me to bring the twins inside. Filled with trepidation, I shared the unsettling discovery with Carol, who mirrored my distress. Determined to find answers, I mustered the courage to confront Steve, but my knocks and rings at his door yielded no response. His car sat motionless in the driveway, confirming his presence within. A growing unease gnawed at my conscience, deepening the weight of my suspicions. Though lacking concrete evidence, I reported the incidents to the police, hoping they would keep a watchful eye on Steve. With each passing day, his absence only fueled further concern. Weeks later, in the heart of the night, chaos shattered our peaceful slumber. Startled awake by Carol's frantic shaking, I stumbled into the children's room, where their terrified screams pierced the darkness. Robbie trembled, his words trembling with fear, as he confessed to seeing a stranger lurking outside their window, followed by the blinding flash of a camera. Panic raced through my veins, but I desperately sought more details. What did the intruder look like? Robbie's inability to provide an answer deepened the abyss of our dread. Seeking solace in the safety of our bedroom, we crammed the children into our bed, their tear-stained faces reflecting the fear etched on our own. Driven by rage and unease, I peered through the window, scanning Steve's darkened house. Yet, my heart pounded with terror when I spotted the flicker of light emanating from one of the upstairs windows, just as I'd seen before. Consumed by a wrathful purpose, I marched across the yard, fury coursing through my veins. I pounded on Steve's door, a symphony of desperation and anger ringing through the night, but he refused to answer. Frustration mingled with a sense of urgency, pushing me to involve the authorities, hoping that a formal record would expose Steve's wicked intentions. And just like that, he evaporated from our lives, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. In our quest for safety and peace of mind, my family soon relocated to a neighboring town, severing all ties with our menacing past. However, the clutches of fear refused to release their grip, forever staining our souls with an indelible mark. Months later, I found refuge in an apartment while pursuing my college education. Although the building harbored a dark side, with its corridors constantly bustling with human traffic, It seemed a small price to pay for a semblance of normalcy. Yet, as I prepared for another night's rest, strange sounds infiltrated the silence. Distant music, a medley of forgotten pop songs from a bygone era, seeped in, echoing through the walls. Assuming it to be the revelry of nearby parties, I thought nothing of it. However, the dread coalesced as the night progressed. Dull, rhythmic drilling noises invaded my senses, as if someone sought solace in the darkest hours. Bewilderment gripped me. It was well past the hour of legality for such activities. Drawn to the cacophony, I approached my bedroom window, only to bear witness to the disturbing truth unfolding in the neighboring apartment. Desolate and empty, it became a haunted place of clandestine occurrences. The drilling persisted, resonating with an eerie determination, while the mysterious music persisted, as though mocking our feeble attempts to find solace in the night. Engulfed in confusion, I confided in a friend, sharing audio recordings and a video of the unsettling scene outside my window. His advice rang true, urging me to contact the authorities. But the weight of exhaustion and a desperate longing for respite dissuaded me from making the call. Determined to find escape within the realm of dreams, I stifled my fears, forcing myself into a restless sleep. But as the clock struck past 1:00 a.m., a presence both tangible and ethereal permeated the atmosphere. Haunted by the cacophony of drilling and tormented by the deafening silence, I knew the time for action had arrived. Trepidation clung to my every step as I reached for the phone, summoning the authorities to confront the malevolence that plagued our lives once more. The horrors that unfolded within those walls will forever remain etched in our minds. The tendrils of paranoia have intertwined with our existence, leaving us in a perpetual state of watchfulness. The battle against the unseen menace continues, as we strive to reclaim a life stolen by the lurking shadows of our past. One morning, I found myself waking up to the disturbing sound of hammering. A sense of unease washed over me, but I couldn't bring myself to take action immediately. Nervously, I tried to go back to sleep, hoping to escape this unsettling situation. However, as I woke up again, the relentless hammering persisted. Determined to confront whoever was causing the disturbance, I mustered the courage to investigate. Opening the window of my apartment, I peered out to see a chilling scene. The room below was occupied by 4 men, their intense focus on their task interrupted by my presence. The sudden silence, broken only by the eerie song playing from the radio, sent shivers down my spine. The realization that these individuals, who appeared to be in their 30s or 40s, were indifferent to my presence, heightened my discomfort. As I gathered my thoughts, I mustered the courage to speak up, politely asking them to consider the late hour and the need for quiet in the building. However, their puzzling choice of music, more suitable for teenagers, sent a shiver down my spine. Their lack of surprise at my appearance, coupled with their eerie smiles and predatory gazes, made my skin crawl. Instinctively, I felt an overwhelming urge to escape this unsettling encounter. Slowly retreating from the window, I maintained a vigilant watch over these men, fearing that they might try to seize me. My heart raced as I descended the stairs and approached the safety of my front door. Inside my apartment, I locked the door, feeling a chilling sense of relief. However, the absence of any noise, including the radio, unnerved me further. Conflicted emotions washed over me: disgust, fear, and a lingering sense of vulnerability. Though calling the authorities was the sensible choice, I was overwhelmed with stress and hesitated. Time seemed to crawl as I climbed back into bed, desperately seeking sleep while suppressing my mounting fear. Eventually, exhaustion overcame me, and I drifted into an uneasy slumber. Abruptly, I awoke in the dead of night, the clock displaying 3:30. Silence enveloped the apartment, unsettling me further. An inexplicable feeling told me that someone lurked outside my closed window, unseen but close. Swallowing my rising fear, I resisted the urge to investigate further, but peace eluded me throughout the remainder of that restless night. Morning arrived, and as I ventured out, I cautiously passed by the window. Strangely, it was now closed, as though the previous night's events had never transpired. Curiosity compelled me to ask my housemate if she had heard anything. Confirming my fears, She revealed that she, too, had been awakened multiple times, paralyzed by sleep, yet unable to act. The realization that my encounter with those men was not a figment of my imagination intensified my unease. Days turned into a week, and thankfully, I had not encountered those men again. However, the mystery surrounding their presence remained. It haunted me, not knowing their identities, motivations, or intentions. The mere suggestion of their possible return or lurking presence sent a chill down my spine, leaving me in a perpetual state of fear. Living in a seemingly ordinary suburban town on Long Island, New York, the tranquility and privacy our new house afforded us were overshadowed by the unsettling presence of a neighboring house. Situated behind our backyard, it provided the vantage point from where two individuals persistently watched our every move. No amount pretending helped us ignore their unsettling gaze, and our discomfort grew with each passing day. To confront this unnerving situation, I made the decision to wave at them, hoping for a friendly response. However, they remained motionless, their eyes fixed on me. Unease gnawed at my mind, and I reluctantly averted my gaze, attempting to continue with the day's chores. Yet, the inescapable feeling of their presence persisted, and I couldn't bear to stay in the yard any longer. Intending to resolve this lingering unease, my girlfriend Sarah suggested we introduce ourselves to the inhabitants of the house behind us. Though hesitant at first, I agreed to accompany her, seeking closure. As we approached their front door, an ominous feeling engulfed us. Half expecting to encounter the individuals we had observed from our backyard window, we were met with an unexpected sight. The door opened just a crack, revealing only half of a person's face. It wasn't the same middle-aged couple we had anticipated. Instead, a much younger man in his 20s stood before us. The darkened interior of the house added to the eerie atmosphere, unsettling us further. Attempting to engage in friendly conversation, we were met with indifference and evasive responses. This encounter only deepened our sense of unease, leaving us with more questions than answers. Leaving the unsettling premises, we retreated back to the sidewalk, perturbed by the exchange. It was then that I noticed the young man at the door, observing us as we walked away. The silence that followed, coupled with his enigmatic presence, heightened our anxiety. Intrigued yet unnerved, Sarah and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply amiss. Days turned into weeks, and though we never witnessed those two individuals again, their presence lingered in our minds. Desperate for answers, we searched for a semblance of normalcy in our daily lives. Yet the fear of their return or their hidden intentions loomed ominously. The uncertainty gnawed at our sanity, forcing us to question the safety and tranquility of our once peaceful abode. Behind the door was still peering half of his face through the cracked open door. I'm sure he watched us walk away until we were out of sight. That interaction was weirder and creepier than we were expecting when we got back home. I went upstairs to our room. The upstairs of our house is only our master bedroom and the bathroom. It has two windows. One of the windows looks over to that house over the fence, and I looked out the window to see those two people. Looking out the window again, and even at this distance, I felt like they were staring right at me. I shut the blinds and went down to tell Sarah we agreed it was time to plant some arborvitae to block their window from view. The only problem is it's already the fall and it's too late to plant any kind of trees. We have to make it through winter. After a few days looking outside the bedroom window or going into the backyard one night, we heard a strange knocking sound from downstairs. I told Sarah to wait in bed while I went downstairs. The knocking got louder, and I quickly discovered it wasn't the sound of knocking on one of the doors, but rather on the glass of one of the backyard windows. The blinds of it were of course shut because we didn't want those creepy people looking into our living room at night. I approached it, and yes, it was 100% a fist knocking on the glass. I considered saying who's there, but I froze and I was too scared. Instead, I flicked on the backyard light, and then the knock effing stopped. I didn't even want to look out the window or door. I kept the light on, and then went back upstairs to my room where I told Sarah about the creepy knocking, but I claimed that I chased whoever it was, a way I exaggerated in fear of sounding like a coward. I also didn't want her to worry. We both imagined it to have been something to do with that house, though nothing has happened since, but I'll have to update throughout the winter update. It's been 2 weeks and we haven't seen those people at the window ever since. But last night we heard yelling and screaming from that house. I had to open our window and it became clear there were muffled yells coming from that house. The fact that we heard it through 2 sets of closed windows just goes to show how loud the yelling It was then out of nowhere, it just stopped and went quiet. We almost called the police, but ultimately didn't. I'll update again if anything else happens, but we're really getting creeped out here now.